Someday I'm going to write a script and and get really prepared for these podcasts. Who am I kidding? It's just going to be me babbling. Episode 39, Meet and Greet. This episode of the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast brought to you by Snap Ring Pliers. Want to launch a piece of metal into the stratosphere? Try using Snap Ring Pliers. That's Snap Ring Pliers. Making you say, "Some bitch," for 40 years now. All right, sit back, relax. Get an adult beverage, get a snack, do whatever you got to do. Prepare yourself because the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast is about to begin. Hello and welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki G. I'm here to inform, delight, entertain, and talk to you about all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? Why not? That seems to be about the average attention span of the average off-roader. Yeah, I just insulted my audience. All right, welcome to the show. I've got a lot spinning around on my mind I want to talk about. All kinds of things. First thing I want to say is I've just listened to all 38 episodes of my podcast. And I think right now there's only 37 available. I always usually have one in the chute ready to go. So I try to release them about every 2 weeks. So I record one or two in a row and then I stage them up. So I can just kind of take a couple of weeks off to reflect and come up with this awesome content. But anyhow, just going back through my listening to my podcast because I never bothered to write down any notes about what my podcast was about. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't rehashing the same thing over and over again. And I found some pretty interesting data. First of all, episodes 10, 12, and 13 are missing. They're not missing because I have them on my hard drive, but they're not on my YouTube channel. How that happened, I don't know. Why it happened, who knows. Four of the episodes, I announced the wrong episode number in the beginning, which I'm sure you guys already figured that out. I had no idea I was doing that, but it's starting to make some of the comments I received make sense. I did a 4-episode series, I guess you would call it, on Christmas gifts. And most of them aired after Christmas. Well, that's horrible. The first 9 of my episodes, I used a royalty-free song for the opening, which is called City Strut, which really wasn't royalty-free because YouTube kind of gave me a hammering for it. And subsequently, the first 9 episodes, my audio quality sucked. And I'm glad to say that it's improved a little bit, but not much, but it has. Other than me hashing over 4 episodes of Christmas gifts, I haven't really gone over anything twice, although I do talk about Facebook a lot, and I want to talk about Facebook again today. It's been about a month now that I said I am just going to put nothing but happy, go get lucky comments and posts out on Facebook. I do nothing but offer words of encouragement. And I see some things that I just want to comment, and I know it's going to spark controversy, so I just ignore them and go on. I'm just shooting happiness and sunbeams out of my butt. And it seems to be working. My Facebook experiences have been pleasurable. And I know somebody say, "Nick, why even bother with Facebook?" My friends are hundreds of strangers. And the only thing we have in common is wheeling and Facebook. So Facebook's a necessary evil. I kind of took a hiatus on Instagram, mainly because I've been so busy, and my poor 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast Instagram and social media things don't get any loving. It's very difficult for me to keep up with life and do the social media. And I got to be honest with you. The only reason why I'm on Instagram and Twitter is because I had a friend. I still have a friend. Yeah, just one. And his YouTube channel was about the size of my YouTube channel. And this is going back years ago. And he was getting free stuff to review all the time. And I contacted him. I said, dude, how are you getting all this free stuff? He says, Instagram. You got to post on Instagram every day. And so I've been posting on Instagram just about every day for years. And the only free stuff I got is that screwdriver you get from Harbor Tool and Freight, that 4-in-1 screwdriver. That's the only free thing I got. And I'm not sure, but I think they give it out to anybody with an Instagram account. I don't even think you need to have an Instagram account. But anyhow, so that's where I stand on social media. And with that being said, you can catch 10 Minute Off-Road Podcast on Instagram sometimes, Twitter, maybe, Facebook, maybe, who knows. YouTube, well, most definitely catch it on YouTube. I'm up on the tube. That's where I seem to spend all my internet time. But you can't catch it on TikTok. And you'll never see it on TikTok. And if you see the 10 Minute Off-Road Podcast or Nikki G on TikTok, know my account has been hacked. Because TikTok is weird and strange. I think TikTok is on its way out, along with Snapchat and MySpace and all the other places that go. GeoCities. Boy, do you guys remember GeoCities? Whatever happened to that? Anyhow, you'll never see 10 Minute Off-Road Podcast on GeoCities either. If you want to listen to the show, it's hosted on Anchor, and Anchor sends it out to a bunch of different places. Who knows? Can't keep up with it all. I know Spotify is one, Apple Podcast is one, and Google Play is one. And let's face it, if it's not those three, then is it really worth putting it on anything else? Other than Pandora and iHeartRadio, because those, I can't even get them to reply to my emails anymore. I'm not even good enough to get the automated response that says, go fuck off. I probably shouldn't have said that. I said it. I'll live with it. All right. With that being said, I guess we can move on to like 3 minutes of podcast that we have left. I want to tell you, I finally saw a new Bronco on the road. I don't know if I talked about it before, but I don't care for it. I don't know about it. It kind of looks like a Ford Escape that took some performance-enhancing drugs, or a Ford Escape genetic experiment gone awry. Yeah, I'll go with that one instead. And before we wrap the show up, I want to take a few seconds to talk about some navigation. Now, it seems to be OnX. A lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. I have Gaia GPS. And I've tried several others. I won't get into them all. But a friend of mine brought up a very good point that said that he always travels with two. He has a Garmin GPS, and he uses an app. And I agree with him. I always travel my GPS app on my phone. I have a couple of different ones. And then I have Paper Map. I've got a atlas book of Forest Service roads of North Carolina. Can't think of what the name of it's called. Matter of fact, let me go grab it. And with the magic of editing, that only took a second and a half instead of the damn 10 minutes it took me to go all the way down and get this. But it is the Delorme, Delorme. I guess that's Delorme, a Garmin brand, Atlas and Gazetter. And I've got the North Carolina edition. And you can get one for every state. And it has detailed topographic maps, extensive updates, has recreational sites, campgrounds, and fishing. And basically what it is if you're familiar with a road atlas, it's a road atlas of back roads and Forest Service roads and everything on there. If you buy one, this is a big book. Well, you remember how big atlases are. They're pretty big. And the print in it is small, so get a magnifying glass or bionic eyes, whichever you can afford. The bionic eyes are going for about $7 million, or is it $6 now? And man, I messed that joke up big time. Oops, sorry about that. But anyhow, go out with 2 pieces of navigation. And then I started thinking, do I really need 2 pieces of navigation? Because I'm never wheeling alone. Should I have my Gaia maps? The person I'm wheeling with, say, hey, I've got Gaia. How about you download Onyx? And then, of course, I always have my trusty Gazetter here with me. You don't need 2 pieces of navigation if you're traveling with somebody and you have one and they have another kind. The same thing with other gear. If you're going out camping, do you need to bring a camp stove and they have a camp stove? So the point I'm trying to get to is the people you're going wheeling with, diversify. Get with them and come up with a list. And this way you're not carrying redundant equipment. Now, I know my dad is spinning in his grave because he used to say, 2 is 1, 1 is none. And that means you should have two of everything. Like to cook your food, you should have 2. Two ways of doing it. Now, it doesn't mean 2 stoves. You bring 1 stove and campfire is the second way. Same thing with sleeping bag or some way to keep warm at night. Don't carry 2 sleeping bags, but carry a sleeping bag and maybe a blanket in case your sleeping bag gets wet or something happens to it. Still a Boy Scout motto of always be prepared. 2 is 1, 1 is none. And as always, I am off the rails. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'd go over where you can catch the podcast, but I think I've already did that. All right, leave me a comment. I really don't know how you're going to get a hold of me since I don't do the social media thing too much. Comment on the YouTube video seems to be the quickest way to get my attention. But you can post on the Facebook page and on Instagram. And if you're trying to catch me on TikTok, you're wasting your time. All right, so I'd like to say that's about all the time I have, but I have got tons of time. I just feel like I just rambled all over the place on this. But, this is what it's all about. It's about just me just chatting. And if you were here in the room with me, we'd be having a nice conversation. So thank you for letting me be a part of your conversation. Until next time, this is Nikki G saying, wheel what you got and be happy.